the capital city. The crisis that nobody saw coming, says Marca. Two big moments that have shook Madrid in the last week. Coming after the euphoria of that Champions League win came El Clasico, and then the Ballon d'Or snub for Vini. Two big losses there. We've seen lots of Madridistas and former Madrid players coming out in support of Vini. Karim Benzema, one of the latest to do so, saying Vinicius was sad, it's normal. In the Champions League that Madrid won last season, he was decisive in every game. I think there is no other who deserves it more than Vinicius. I have nothing against Rodri, and he's a great player. But when I'm on the sofa watching TV, I don't see things that make me say, oof. Javier Tebas has been a bit more critical of Real Madrid. He says, I'm a Real Madrid fan. The most important values of this club are being a gentleman and shaking hands when you lose. I think Real Madrid lost that spirit a long time ago. So we'll get to what we've just seen here. But first of all, Craig, I want to come to you on what you've made of this whole Ballon d'Or debacle and Vini not securing it and Rodri getting it and Real Madrid being very upset about it.
Well, who cares?
They care, clearly.
Well, clearly they do, and that's, you get over it. I tell you what, you know what was more important than reflecting on his and his team's awful performance at the weekend, getting battered in the end second half by Barcelona? That's more important than a Ballon d'Or, surely, no? Just the biggest game and arguably in club football in the world. And they were embarrassed. And yet they've all got the cream puff because he hasn't won the Ballon. It's not as if they handed it to somebody who was kind of average. Rodri was. And as for Benzema, you know, he's like, it doesn't make me. He understands the game, for God's sake. You know, so it's just petty. I mean, all this, they're not going. That's all it was on social media yesterday. And I was just sat at home going, oh, for God's sake. It's like big babies, isn't it? I mean, it really is.
To move on, though, Shaka, to
go on.
I was just going to say, get your mate. Who can we call who's going to agree? Yeah, let's call Benzema, Vinny's best mate. Let's do that.
They've just been absolutely annihilated at the weekend. He was anonymous. Mbappe was shocking. This young Barcelona team, and I mean young, took them to the cleaners in the second half. It was a huge surprise to all of us and most people that were looking at the game saying, how is this going to pan out? And all they're crying about is Vinicius didn't win the Ballon d'Or. But get over it and get on with it, you big baby.
What of Javier Tebas' comments criticising Real Madrid like this, after saying, as La Liga president, that he's a Real Madrid fan?
Well, that part, I'm not sure why he needed to quantify his statements with that. He's the La Liga president. Why you have to specify that you're a Real Madrid fan is beyond me. I think that has a knock-on effect well after Real Madrid get over this. Other than that, everything he says is absolutely right. And to that point, and while, okay, in Spain, certainly the Ballon d'Or seems to be a bigger deal than it is in other countries, certainly in England, I always feel that big clubs set the tone for so much about our game today. And using Vinicius Jr. as an example, and something that I am passionate about, racism in the game, how Real Madrid supported Vinicius Jr. through all the abuse that he was receiving, and how the Spanish courts, how the league has been transformed as a result of Vinicius Jr. and Real Madrid's support. That's the example that Real Madrid sets. That's the tone that they set. Now, all of a sudden, around the Ballon d'Or, an individual in Vinicius Jr., as talented as he is, he's an individual in a team sport. You win Team of the Year, yet you stop everybody from going to the award ceremony as a team because an individual hasn't won it. And again, what that shouts to me is the individual is more important than the team. And I have a real issue. With that. At no point should any team, let alone arguably the biggest team in world football, be saying our individual players, our stars are more important than us as a collective. I just don't get it. I really just don't get it. I think Real Madrid missed the mark here on so many levels. And as I mentioned yesterday, even players like Joselu, who had this outsized impact during their Champions League run, scoring late goals against Bayern Munich and the like, he's never had and may never again have an opportunity to step on that stage and receive the accolades that he would have done had he gone with Real Madrid to the award ceremony. And that is snatched away from him because you feel disgruntled about.
So they
about
won
Vinicius.
Team of the Year.
They won.
Coach of the Year.
Won Coach of the Year. Real Madrid won
I didn't know that.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
I know
It's
people were saying,
ridiculous.
"Well, you should know that." No, I shouldn't know it because I don't care. I just don't even look at these things. It was just because I was sitting yesterday and it kept piping up about Vinicius. But if that's the case, then you know it's very amateurish, isn't it?
Well, they finally see it your way
Childish.
now. They say it's not such a prestigious award after all.
Well, 'cause none of their players.
Well, they'll not be saying that next year if Vinny does win it.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be
One of their players
completely
will be all
opposite.
over.
What did you think of what
They
Thomas
didn't win Team of the Weekend.
said? No, they didn't. but what are we talking about?
Well,
We're
as I
talking
said
about the
yesterday,
Ballon d'Or
that was the
now,
second event in 3 days that they failed to turn up for. So, and at least they're consistent.
aren't we? Yeah.
Happy.
No, he's right. He's right. Complete and utter lack of class. Said it yesterday. Just takes the shine away from Rodri. You know, all the spotlight should be on him winning the Ballon d'Or. For those that like the Ballon d'Or, he should be getting all the accolades, all the light shining on him, the whole thing. And unfortunately, that's not happened.
No, and we'll see what happens at the weekend and whether Real Madrid's game with Valencia goes ahead. There's been flooding in Valencia. It's been a really terrible time in the city and the region, so we send our thoughts out to all of those affected. The rest of the games, however, will go ahead for sure on ESPN+. Be sure to catch them in both English and Spanish as we do every single week.